Hi everyone, welcome to Duo 3. I'm Lester and today I shall be continuing the charting series with you guys, and as per previous session, as I've mentioned in previous session, we are going to cover more on the various options within trend lines itself. So today we'll be exploring more of the other types of trend lines within Excel charting tools. So as always, I've prepared the action that we'll be doing over here. Today we'll be focusing more on the moving average trend line as well as the polynomial trend line, right? So as per the previous session, we have identified a particular stock which is the most upward trending fashion within among these three stocks, which is T390 with the ticker T390. So I've pre-populated the data series over here in this chart itself. So without further ado, let me kickstart the session. So firstly, we'll need to select the chart, and then under charting tools, go to layout. Under analysis group, we go to the trend line function. Today we'll be covering more on the trend line options. More trend line options. Click on that, and you will realize that Excel has a very good array of trend lines available for you to select from. So as we discussed previously, there's the linear trend line, and then there's also the exponential trend line, polynomial trend line, moving average trend line, logarithm trend line, and power trend line, right? And if you do realize that you click the different types of trend line, Excel actually plots it real time for you to preview the different types of trend line. So today we'll be covering on the moving average trend line as well as the polynomial trend line. So let's cover the most basic one first. So the moving average trend line. So as the name suggests, moving average trend line actually picks the historical data points and plot the average for that particular period. So if you look over here, Excel actually allows you to select the number of periods that you would like to plot the average for. So currently it's showing 2. And if you increase it to 3, you realize that the moving average trend line actually shortens, and that's because to plot the first data point, it requires more historical data sets to plot the average, right? So as it progresses, it uses the 3 historical average data points to plot the average trend line, and this is how it actually plots it out. So that's moving average, right? So the next one that we'll be covering will be the polynomial trend line. Polynomial trend line. Okay, so click on the chart again. Under chart tools, layout, analysis, trend line, more options. So we'll be covering on the polynomial trend line, right? Polynomial trend line. So let me change the color of the polynomial trend line to distinguish it from the moving average. So maybe let's use a red color to make it more distinct. And maybe let me make it thicker right over here. Okay, so focusing on the polynomial trend line. So the main difference between polynomial and moving average would be polynomial's ability to do forecasting forward and backward, right? And this is because polynomial leverages on an equation to plot the trend line. So to better understand the equation, let's display the equation on the chart itself. Okay, so click on display equation on chart, check it, and also check on display square root value on chart, right? So if you look over here, right, in order to determine the accuracy of the relationship of the trend line to the data, right, particularly for polynomial trend lines, a larger R means a stronger relationship the trend line has with the data set, which means the stronger the relationship, the better the trend line reflects the trend for the data points. So R squared is a very good measure of the strength of the relationship. So R squared ranges between 0 to 1, where 0 is weak and 1 is strong. So over here you will realize that R squared is 0.89, which is a relatively strong R squared, I would say. But if you notice, right, if you increase the number of orders, which means to increase the number of data points used in the equation, the R squared actually increase, right? So the more, as logically, right, the more number of data points you use to predict your to to use for plotting your trend line, the more accurate it will be for your R squared, right? It's just it's a rather mathematical understanding around it. So if you look over here, Excel actually helps you to do forecasting based on this equation. So let's play around with Excel a little. So maybe let's put like say 20 periods, right? And then you will realize that hey, Excel actually helps you plot 20 periods over and above where your current period is. So as you can see here, it's clearly a very upward trending stock, and it's very consistent with what we have shared initially with the linear graph, just that the polynomial graph curves accordingly to how the data points moves. So clearly a different kind of trend lines show a different kind of trending pattern. However, on the overall high level message, it's clearly an upward trending stock for T390 ticker, right? So I hope this session has been useful for you guys, and I look forward to sharing more charting tools with you guys next time. Thanks everyone.